Should you enlist in the Army in 2022? The purpose of this video is to help you figure that out. There's a lot of benefits to joining the Army and even just enlisting, not even going in as an officer, but there's also some downsides, and we're going to go over both of those in this particular video. The Great Resignation isn't just hitting the food service industry and the healthcare industry. The US military is in dire need of more and more recruits. According to Bloomberg, increasingly the number of young Americans willing and able to serve should be a national priority. The US currently has 1.3 million active duty service members. Due to attrition and retirement, the military needs to find more than 150,000 new recruits every year to meet its overall end strength goal. At least 70% of Americans between the ages of 17 and 24 are ineligible for military service due to obesity, mental health issues, past drug use, criminal records, or lack of a high school degree. There's about 1.3 active duty service members, with almost 500,000 of them being in the US Army. So in response to this, the US military is throwing more and more incentives at potential recruits. Enlisting in the Army is one potential career path. If you're having trouble choosing a particular career, we have you covered. Choose the Right Career is a 7-step program to help you figure out the right career for you. We go from potentially 1,000 possible occupations to that one right career for you, and we look at your interests, your personality, your values, how much money you want to make, and specifically where in the country you actually want to live. We apply all these variables to help you pick the right career for you. Check out the link below for more details. So first, we're going to go over some advantages to joining the Army in 2022, and compensation is a key advantage. But the hard part of determining total compensation in the Army is it's actually very hard to calculate. For example, let's take a look at a plumber real quick. In 2020, the average base salary for a plumber was $56,330. When you add in healthcare, vacation, and all those other benefits, total compensation rises to about $73,229, and all this is before overtime pay. So it's relatively easy to determine the total compensation of a plumber. It's basically base salary plus benefits plus any kind of overtime pay. This is for an employed plumber. Plumbers that own their own business, it's completely different. It becomes much harder to determine their total compensation. Meanwhile, trying to determine the total compensation of an Army recruit is so much more challenging. In fact, it's kind of flipped. The average base salary might only be $25,000 a year, but you're getting so many benefits. Your total compensation might only be 20% wages and then 80% everything else. So we're going to give you a case study of someone that is enlisting in the Army. They're going to do 5 years, and we're going to show you how much total compensation this particular person could expect. Adam Army is 23 years old, and he's from Chicago, Illinois. He was recently employed as a waiter at the Cheesecake Factory, and in 2022, he decided to enlist in the Army as an E1. He plans to do 5 years of active duty service and then 3 years in the reserves before separating. Adam ends up passing the physicals, the background check, the drug test, everything, and he ends up going in the infantryman route. Right now, people going this route get a signing bonus of $21,000. So that's how we're going to start. We're going to divide that $21,000 signing bonus by 5. It's going to give us $4,200, and this starts to give us an idea of Adam's total compensation. The next thing we're going to do is calculate Adam's total base wages. And a lot of people are going to click off the video at this point. They're going to see these low numbers and they'll be like, this is not for me. This is not a lot of money. But I will tell you, total compensation gets a lot higher when you look at benefits beyond just base wages. All this is from the Army website. Year 1, Adam makes around $22,000. Year 2, around $25,000 as an E2. Year 3, also as an E2, $25,000. He gets promoted in year 4 to an E3 and earns around $29,000. And in year 5, he gets promoted to an E4, earning around $33,000. At this point, he goes into the reserves for year 5 to 8, and then Adam would separate. So the average base pay over those 5 years would be $28,207. So it doesn't seem so high so far, but Adam's actually going to get a lot of other benefits, and a lot of these benefits are tax advantage, and you're going to see this with housing. We're just going to assume Adam lives on base at Fort Bragg for 5 years. He probably ends up doing a couple deployments and boosting his pay in that way, but we're not going to go into that. The average 1-bedroom rent in Fort Bragg is $884. The government is basically paying for Adam's housing. By living on base, Adam ends up saving $10,608, but this is untaxed compensation. If the government were to write Adam a check for $10,608, he'd actually have to pay like 20% of that to taxes, but the government is providing this service directly to Adam. He doesn't have to pay taxes on it. So this money is actually worth more than $10,608. We're going to add 15% of it to account for taxes. So the total benefit is $11,880. So when we multiply 10,608 rent times 1.15 for taxes, we get $11,880. So this housing benefit is worth almost half of Adam's base pay. Next, we have the basic allowance for subsistence, and this is a tax-exempt allowance for food and drink. Right now, for enlisted members, it's worth $406 per month or $4,883 per year. If the government were to give Adam $4,883, he'd have to pay taxes on it. So because they're providing it to him, this is actually worth instead $5,615 per year. So Adam's truly getting around $6,000 per year in food and drink. Next, there's the healthcare benefit. Active duty members in the Army get TRICARE Prime, which provides free healthcare to service members. The average premium for a single 27-year-old male in North Carolina is around $423 per month or $5,076 per year. And again, because the government is providing this directly to Adam, he doesn't have to pay taxes on this. So it's actually truly worth $5,837. So this is almost worth just as much as the food and drink benefit, the BAS. Next, Adam is getting tuition assistance. His goal is to become a certified public accountant after his service. And while on active duty, the Army can provide up to $4,000 per year for tuition. And once again, because they're providing this directly to Adam, he doesn't have to pay taxes on this as if it were income. So it's truly worth $4,600. So quite a large benefit. Next, we get to Adam's GI Bill. Adam ends up choosing to attend UNC Chapel Hill's accounting program for 4 years. The GI Bill is going to provide him $1,000 per year for books and supplies, $9,000 per year for tuition, and $1,500 per year for housing. Again, because they're providing this directly, Adam doesn't have to pay taxes on any of this as income. So this ends up actually being worth $25,660 per year of Adam's service. So in this scenario, Adam's total compensation per year is $85,779 per year of active duty service. And this doesn't actually even include all benefits. He also gets free dental care, free vision, free drugs during service, the VA loan, a potential security clearance for employment, and veteran status for life, which can help him enter politics, law school, an MBA program, or even help him win a government contract. So you can really see that the base pay for someone in the Army is really just one small part of the pie of their total compensation. In fact, 20% of their total compensation might just be their base pay, and 80% is GI Bill, healthcare, and all those other things we went over, housing, BAS. And keep in mind, Adam is starting all the way down as an E1. Some people start as an E2, some people start as an E3, and compensation for officers is going to be even more. So not bad for an occupation that doesn't require a college degree and will actually help you pay for a college degree. Next, we're going to go over some of the downsides to enlisting in the Army. The first one is the fatality rate. And this actually isn't as high as you would think. In 2020, there's around 1.4 million active duty military. And overall, there's around 800 to 1,000 fatalities in the armed services per year. So this is a pretty high fatality or casualty rate, but keep in mind that there's actually some other more dangerous occupations out there, such as being a fisherman, a logger, some of the construction trades. There's actually a really high fatality rate. So around 1,000 per year when there's 1.4 million active duty military members isn't as high, and it doesn't tell the whole story. When you look at the cause of many of these fatalities, things look a little bit clearer. In 2020, there was 1,017 fatalities. 317 of these were due to an accident, 190 an illness, 104 other, and 406 of these fatalities were suicides. So most of the casualties or fatalities in the military aren't terrorist related. In fact, there hasn't been a single terrorist related death in the US Armed Services over the past 5 years. Most of the casualties and fatalities are due to accidents, suicides, and a smaller amount are due to illness. And this goes into one of the biggest drawbacks of joining the military. There's a pretty high suicide rate. It's 1.5 times the general public. In fact, there are 20 suicides per day from military veterans. Many military veterans suffer from PTSD, many suffer from depression. So you really have to ask yourself if it's worth it and whether you can handle this kind of occupation. Another drawback to joining the Army is the extremely high injury rate. And people in the Army get injured all the time, sometimes more than once per per year. There's this really good study that goes over injuries and the United States Army. In fact, there's 1.3 million people in the armed forces. There's 2 million injuries per year. And get this, according to the results, more than half of all active duty soldiers sustained at least one injury in 2017. Overuse injuries comprise at least 70% of all injuries among soldiers. So in my opinion, those are the two biggest downsides to joining the Army or enlisting in the Army in 2022. It can adversely affect your mental health, and there's an extremely high injury rate. It can be really hard on your body. So what did you think of the pros and cons of potentially enlisting in the Army in 2022? Definitely leave a comment down below if you have an opinion about this. I hope this video helped you, and thank you so much for watching.